I died and stood face to face with Jesus. What he showed me about my secret sin changed my life forever. This isn't just a near-death experience. It's a wake-up call, and it starts right now. I never thought it would come to this. If you had seen me at church, heard me pray, or watched me lead small group Bible studies, you would have thought I had it all together. I was the guy who knew the verses, who spoke gently, who showed up early to set up chairs and stayed late to pray with people. But beneath the surface, I was battling a dark, private war, one that left me feeling like a fraud every time I stood before others. Masturbation had become more than a habit. It was a hidden prison I couldn't escape. I told myself it was just a phase when I was a teenager. Then I told myself everyone struggles with it. Then I convinced myself that grace covered it so I didn't have to fight so hard. But after years of spiraling shame, secret sin, and a double life, I became numb. I didn't want to sin. I truly didn't. But I also didn't want to be exposed. So I kept quiet. I led worship on Sundays and looked holy. Then on Monday nights, after everyone went to bed, I'd fall into the same cycle. Repentance, tears, promises to stop. Then a few clean days, then the urge, then the fall. Again and again and again, I began to feel like God had stopped listening. I remember the night it happened so vividly. I had just turned 31. I was exhausted, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I had spent that day crying out to God to deliver me. I begged him to take the temptation away once and for all. I screamed into my pillow out of frustration. I told him, I'd rather die than live like this. That night, something shifted. I felt a strange pressure in my chest. A wave of dizziness swept over me, and I collapsed onto the floor. Everything went black. First, I thought I was dreaming, but then I realized something terrifying. I was looking down at my own body. I was hovering above the room, watching myself crumpled on the floor. Panic gripped me. I screamed, but no one heard. I reached out to touch the walls, but my hands passed through them. Then came the sound, like wind, but not of this world. The room dissolved around me, and I was pulled into a tunnel of light and shadow, soaring faster than any speed I could imagine. I passed stars, colors I couldn't describe, and waves of energy. I wasn't afraid, I should have been, but something was drawing me, and then everything stopped. I stood in what I can only describe as the edge of eternity. A vast, radiant expanse opened before me. Light poured in from every direction, but it didn't hurt my eyes. The ground shimmered beneath my feet, and in the distance, I saw a figure walking toward me. My heart knew before my mind did. It was Jesus. I fell to my knees without thinking. The weight of his presence was overwhelming. I didn't see fire or judgment. I saw a love so pure, it broke me. I sobbed uncontrollably. I wanted to hide. I was dirty. I was unworthy. I was ashamed. But he walked right up to me and knelt down. "I've been waiting for you," he said. His voice like a melody I had always known but forgotten. "We need to talk." Jesus reached out and touched my shoulder. The warmth that radiated from his hand went deeper than flesh. It touched my spirit, like fire that didn't burn but healed. I looked up into his eyes, and for the first time, I understood what it meant when people said his eyes were like flames of fire. Not in anger, in truth, in purity, in love so holy, it saw every part of me and still reached out. "Come," he said gently. "There's something I want to show you." We began to walk, not on ground as I knew it, but in some dimension that felt more real than earth. Suddenly, we were standing in what looked like a vast room made of light. Scenes from my life began to appear around us, holographic yet solid, like walking through memories, but reliving them with every emotion, every hidden thought, every secret I tried to forget. We paused at a scene from my childhood. I was 11 years old, sitting alone in my room, tears on my cheeks. My father had just walked out on our family. I had found a torn magazine behind an old dresser weeks later. That's when the struggle began. Jesus stood next to me, silent but present. He wasn't condemning me. He wasn't surprised. He knew every detail, every emotion, every lie I believed from that day on. Another scene played. I was 16, crying in a youth camp altar call, promising I'd stop. Then 19, struggling in college, surrounded by temptation. Then 24, in a secret relationship. Then 28, preaching purity while living in private shame. Each time, I saw my own face, tired, guilty, broken. Then I saw something I had never seen before. Every time I fell, every time I hated myself afterward, Jesus was there. Not watching in anger, but kneeling beside me, weeping with me. I wasn't angry with you, he said. I was heartbroken for you. My knees gave out again. I had never known love like this. You thought I only cared about your behavior, he said. But I cared about your wounds. You hid your addiction, but I saw your pain. You believed you were dirty, unwanted, unfixable. But I never believed those lies about you. You are my son, and I died for this. Not just the sin, but the shame. I sobbed not from guilt anymore, but from healing. Then came silence, and a question. Are you ready to be free? Jesus extended his hand once more, and I stood, though it felt like it wasn't by my own strength. Something invisible held me up, like the weight I had carried all my life had been lifted in an instant. He led me to what looked like a river, not water as we know it, but living light, flowing with a sound like singing. The very air around it shimmered with peace. As we stepped closer, I heard whispers, gentle and full of power. They weren't just sounds. They were words I needed to hear. You are loved. You are clean. You belong. Jesus spoke. This is the river of restoration. Not everyone who comes here chooses to step in. Some hold on to their guilt like it's a part of them. But you don't have to anymore. I felt my heart tremble. Could I really let go of everything I'd hidden for so long? The fear, the lust, the shame, the self-hatred? Without another word, I stepped into the river. And it was like stepping into truth. Everything I believed about myself that wasn't from God melted away. I felt naked but not ashamed. For the first time in my life, I was me, the me God created before I was ever touched by sin or trauma. It wasn't just a cleansing, it was a rebirth. When I came out, Jesus stood smiling. I couldn't help but laugh through my tears. I looked down, my body shimmered. I was clothed in white, but not fabric, it was glory. I felt lighter than air. Joy overwhelmed me. Now, Jesus said, you're ready. Ready for what? I asked, still overwhelmed. To go back. I paused. But why? I don't want to leave this place. He nodded with understanding. I know, no one ever does. But your story isn't over. There are many like you, bound, ashamed, believing lies about who they are. They need to hear the truth. They need to know me. He walked with me to what looked like a portal of swirling light. My spirit knew this was the way back. Jesus touched my forehead. Instantly, visions filled my mind. Faces of men and women, young and old, struggling like I had. Some were crying. Some were angry. Some were numb. And then I saw myself, speaking not with pride, but with the authority of one who had been broken and healed. They need your story, Jesus said. Don't tell it as a tale of shame. Tell it as a testimony of freedom. Then he smiled, and the light around him became brighter than the sun. I will be with you, always. And with those words, I felt myself pulled backward, faster and faster, until I slammed into my body with a gasp. When I woke up, I was sobbing. Not with sorrow, with freedom. It took me months to process what happened. Years to walk it out fully. But everything changed from that day. The cravings that once ruled me lost their power. The lies I believed were exposed. And the love I encountered rewrote my identity. Today, I'm no longer a slave to masturbation or shame. I'm a child of God. And I share this story not to shock, but to set captives free. Because freedom is possible. Because Jesus is real. And because he loves you, even in your darkest struggle.